Alright, so I had to make this video because I had to think about what was shown earlier today, which was the Last of Us Remake. Now, I am a really big fan of The Last of Us. I thoroughly enjoyed the game. And, I didn't care too much for the sequel, but earlier today, they officially revealed what the Last of Us Remake would look like on the newest or current gen consoles. Now, I kind of gave it a pass when I first watched it as they were revealing it, but looking back on it, I honestly think this is incredibly disappointing and unnecessary mostly. Now, to kind of talk about what I mean, we have to make a distinction on the terminology that is used. So there is a loose definition, a loose difference between what a remaster and a remake is. This is good. I'm completely off script for this. I just had to talk about it because I had to think about it. But when I think of what a remaster is versus what a remake is, there are a few examples I like to kind of point to. One such example is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. That is a very famous remaster. Now, I consider this a remaster because the gameplay is almost entirely the same. There's a few minor changes in gameplay I can think of with the Zora swimming mechanics in that game, but the differences kind of end there with the gameplay. But the changes are in the other aspects, such as the graphics and some of the actual mechanics, such as saving. And I very much appreciate what they did with the Majora's Mask remake on 3DS because the remake came out, I want to say, early 2010s, like 2013, maybe 2014. And the Majora's Mask on N64 came out late 90s, I want to say, maybe early 2000s. And, that is a good maybe 12, 14-ish years difference between the two, and completely valid in my opinion. The Majora's Mask, had some changes that needed to be made, and I appreciate everything that they did for it. And in my opinion, that is what you can consider a good remake, because to even play Majora's Mask on the N64 you had to have the booster pack, and it was inconvenient to say the least. And I think the remake kind of did a really good job of bringing it back into the public opinion, and I think it drew in a lot more fans, such as myself, because I might not have been able to play the original Majora's Mask, but I certainly did play the remake on 3DS, and it became my favorite Zelda game. I'll be showing screenshots on the screen right now, and you can very much tell a visual difference that is justifiable for why they would want to remake Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Another such example is Wind Waker on the Gamecube versus the Wii U version. I looked it up for this specific case. So the original Wind Waker came out in 2002 for the Gamecube, and the Wii U version, I believe, came out in 2013. And so I haven't played Wind Waker, either version of it, so I can't tell you what the differences are, but I can tell you, just by looking at the screenshots, that there is a huge improvement to the graphics. It is noticeably improved. And I don't know anything about the gameplay, so I can't comment about that. But what I can comment about is, GameCube. It was a old console, and even though the Wii U didn't do too well, I feel like it being remastered for the Wii U maybe drew in a lot more fans and people who were able to play it compared to the GameCube version. That's what a remaster should fundamentally do. Take games on old consoles and maybe give the chance for newer people to play them and experience them. One of my favorite examples of a remaster is the Metal Gear Solid HD collection for the PS3. Because it has everything you need as a Metal Gear Solid fan, and it brings it in this tight one package deal where you can play all the Metal Gear Solids 1 through 4 and Peace Walker all on the PS3. And it's super convenient because it also kind of gives you updated visuals, makes the games more clear. Especially Metal Gear Solid 3, which is like one of my favorite games now. That's what a remaster should do. I didn't have to go out and buy Metal Gear Solid 2. I didn't have to buy Metal Gear Solid 3. I didn't have to buy Metal Gear Solid 1. I didn't have to buy Metal Gear Solid 4 or Peace Walker individually. I was able to buy it in a remastered HD collection, which I very much appreciated. Now, that is a remaster, though. What about a remake? Now, remakes are, I'd say, a little more drastic in terms of changes, where even though it might replicate a lot of the things that is being remade, it is I'd say, different experience or a different game by some margin. And the kind of example I like to point to with a remake would be Yakuza. So with Yakuza, the original one came out, I'm not sure exactly when the original came out versus Kiwami, but I feel like a lot of people, myself included, appreciate Kiwami for giving a more modern ability to play the original Yakuza without having to play the original Yakuza with maybe its dated graphics or mechanics. And I mean, if you look at the games, you can very much see the reasoning for why they'd probably want to remake it. I mean, Yakuza Kiwami is a huge step in quality. It looks phenomenal. And, this is comparing a PS2 game to a PS4 game. And it's completely valid, in my opinion, to do this. And, this isn't even counting the gameplay. I mean, Yakuza Kiwami has, I believe, 3 or 4 fighting styles. I think there's 4. Yeah, there's 4 fighting styles. Versus the original Yakuza, which I believe only had 1 fighting style. And I haven't played the original Yakuza, so I can't 100% confirm that. But, it's just small things like that where it's like, oh, hey, I can experience the old original Yakuza, but with a more modern coat over it. And, this is the type of thing that a remake should do. Another such example is Shadow of the Colossus. Shadow of the Colossus now the remake doesn't have as much, at least I'm pretty sure it doesn't have as much gameplay differences. I haven't actually played either of these games, but when you look at the original Shadow of the Colossus and you look at the remake for the PS4, there is, again, huge jumps in quality. You can very much see why they wouldn't do this, because it is a PS2 game that is being ported to PS4. Please do this for Eco. I would really want to see an Eco remake. Please just do it. Now, the reason I want to bring these examples up is because when you look at the changes and the differences between what is considered a remake versus a remaster, I think whenever you look at what they're doing with The Last of Us, the remake, it's just nonsensical in my opinion. Keep in mind, this is a remake, not a remaster. The Last of Us Part 1 already had a remaster, technically, from the PS3 version to the PS4. That was a remaster. And now what we're seeing here is a remake. Now, maybe they will show something in the future that can convince me that this is something that is necessary, but I don't know. Whenever I look at something that is when something is remade, I need to see at the very least, a graphical necessity to do that. And maybe it's just my personal opinion, but I think The Last of Us, the first one on PS4, is a perfectly fine game visually and graphically. I think it looks perfectly good. It still holds up incredibly well. And I don't know, I think I kind of prefer the art style over the maybe hyper-realistic look they were kind of going for in the second one. Now, I don't know, they have a list of... Okay, here it is. So they're saying we've implemented modernized gameplay, improved controls, expanded accessibility options, and the single-player adventure experience to allow even more individuals to enjoy the game. Effects, exploration, combat have all been enhanced, leveraging the PS5's powerful hardware, yada yada yada. Now, here's the thing, right? Like I said, with Yakuza, there is a several hardware jump, two generations of hardware jump from Yakuza 1 to its remake. Giving more camera controls, because I believe the original Yakuza had fixed camera controls. You couldn't actually control it. And I can tell you for a fact that is how it is with Metal Gear Solid 3. The original Metal Gear Solid 3 actually did not have a controllable camera. It had fixed camera positions like Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2. And for the remaster, not even a remake, a remaster, they gave you the ability to control the camera, which is a huge thing for a remaster because that's a huge jump. The Last of Us, the original version, in my opinion, I don't know, maybe I just haven't played it in a while, but I don't ever remember having any troubles with the gameplay at all. I never thought it was frustrating or outdated. I still think the Uncharted games have incredibly well gameplay after all these years. And Uncharted 2, I believe, came out in 2009 or somewhere around that time, maybe even before that. But Uncharted 2 on the PS3, after all this time, still has incredible gameplay that holds up really well. And here's the thing that's really bugging me. Whenever it comes to a remake, I like to imagine that it is a game that is not easily available. Case in point, Majora's Mask. That game on the original version on N64 is very unavailable. You have to have an N64, a very old console. You have to have the booster pack. You have to have an accessory for your console just to play this incredible game. Which rightfully, when ported to the 3DS, made it much more convenient to play, because not only did it have gameplay, but it was just an overall easier time to play. The Last of Us is available on PS3, which, as far as I am aware, you can still buy on the PS3 digitally. Available on the PS4, which you can definitely buy digitally, and if anything, you can literally go to the store, probably get it for $10. In fact, they even gave out The Last of Us Remastered on PS4 for free. They give it out for free. It was free for PlayStation Plus players. So the question of the game being not accessible is just, I don't know. I feel like it is an insanely accessible game. I don't know. What do you think? In my opinion, I think it is just an unnecessary thing to pursue, especially considering that this is Naughty Dog we're talking about. The Uncharted games are incredible, and they're also kind of maybe getting to the point where they maybe could use a remake or something along the lines. There is the Nathan Drake collection on PS4, but there is a collection of remasters. I would absolutely love to see an Uncharted 2 remake. Much in the vein of it looking like Uncharted 4, because if you compare how Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 4 looks, there is a noticeable jump in quality, and I would love to see Uncharted 2 in the new style. And it's just kind of, I get they're making the Last of Us TV show, but this just seems like a unnecessary kind of plug to get you to be excited for the TV show. Oh, well, though. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of interject with kind of some more clarification on the whole remakes versus what a remaster is. A good example of what I think you would most likely know of as a remake is the recently released Final Fantasy VII remake. This is probably the clearest definition of what a remake is, because if you know what the original Final Fantasy VII is like, and you know what the recent remake is like, they are very, very different in a lot of the aspects. The story is relatively the same, but it's the gameplay that is just complete. It's no longer a turn-based game. It's a real-time kind of action game. A remaster would be kind of something like the Call of Duty for Modern Warfare Remastered that was on PS4 and Xbox One. That one is a pretty clear definition of what a remastered is, because the gameplay is almost identical. It probably is identical in every way. It just looks like it was made for modern consoles, and you can pretty much tell that these are what a remake and a remaster essentially are. It's basically just boils down to how much is changed, how much do the games replicate the original ones. And I think the issue with The Last of Us 2, or not The Last of Us 2, The Last of Us 1 remake is that this is not really so much falling in line with what would be considered a remake, and it's more just like a glorified remastered slash, I don't know, some kind of hybrid of the two, when in my opinion it is something that is not needed at all. A remake or a remaster should be allowing people to play something that is not readily available, or something that is outdated. Like I've mentioned before, Final Fantasy VII had a huge glow up from the original to the remake. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare had a huge graphical improvement, and was just more so a port to modern consoles that I got to enjoy, even though I definitely would have never played the original Modern Warfare. And the thing is with The Last of Us Part 1 remake is that this is going to be a $70 experience. If this was a maybe $30 purchase, you could buy like $30, $20, then I would be all for this. I would think it's a great idea to allow people to play The Last of Us on the current console. But this is a full $70 experience, and I cannot imagine what they could do to make this game that makes it worth $70 that you couldn't get the same experience by playing the original on PS4. I guess the biggest issue I'm having with The Last of Us Remake is that on your screen I will currently have a comparison of what the PS4 version of The Last of Us versus what the PS5 version of The Last of Us looks like. And I have to ask you, in your opinion, is this worth the $70 price tag? Because in my opinion, it is not. I've played The Last of Us. I loved the game. But if you were to ask me to play the game again for $70 with these updated graphics, it's just not worth it in my opinion. I would rather just play the version I currently have if that was something I wanted to do.